What is the highest level of murder? That is to leave a plethora of loopholes on site, and in the end, you will find that each loophole is a carefully designed headless clue. This highly intelligent random murder case, without seeing the last second, you will never be able to guess who the killer is. He is a digital murder case adapted from a real case in the movie. A female corpse was found in the jungle of the suburbs, and Detective Casey could tell at a glance that the victim had been strangled, and this was not the first scene of the crime. With the examination of the vicinity of the body, seasoned Casey quickly developed a strange feeling. The first impression given by the killer was very amateur. There were clear and humorous marks left by him everywhere next to the body, as well as vomit left by the killer. There were also various hairs and fibers on the body, but after investigation, it was found that all these clues were useless. The fiber on the body was tested to be a popular sweater that cost an extra 9 yuan and 9 free shipping. It sold more than 30 pieces per month, and there was no way to investigate. All the hair collected on site, except for one monkey hair, is from the deceased. It is obvious that these were intentionally left by the killer to mislead them. According to forensic inference, the time of death of the deceased was between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Casey found obvious signs of fighting at the deceased's house, with the clock falling to the ground. The time points to 9:30, but there are no fingerprints on site. The dry weather for a month without rain has made the muddy footprints at the window from deep to shallow with a hint of strangeness. The only thing that can point to the killer now is the pile of vomit and shoe prints. The shoe print comes from a limited edition leather shoe. Through market research, Casey and her partner quickly found the buyer Xiao Shuai, who was a senior high school student and also a well-known wealthy second generation in the local area. Under Casey's inquiry, Xiao Shuai showed the panic that a student should have, but as soon as he heard it was related to his own shoes, he immediately felt relieved. It turned out that his shoes had been stolen a month ago, and he had already reported the case to the school guards. The clues seemed to have been interrupted here. Casey's sixth sense felt that Xiao Shuai had a problem, so she asked him what he was doing on the night of the crime. Xiao Shuai answered truthfully that he suddenly wanted to learn that night, so he called a group of classmates to study materials at home. It was the same from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m., but at about 9 o'clock, he went out to draw money and bought several bowls of orchid kanji ramen noodles for everyone, and the ATM took a picture of the journey. It was also too late to kill and dump the body. The partner suggested that the clues of the agreement should not be checked. Casey doesn't agree with this suggestion. He still thinks there's a problem with Xiao Shuai. But just when he decided to continue digging deeper, he was called into the office by the director and scolded. It turned out that Xiao Shuai's father used social resources to pressure the police station, claiming that he would randomly investigate his son without evidence, causing damage to his personal and company reputation. There's no way, Haishi has to start with other clues. There was also a pile of vomit on site, which contained some indigestible high-grade caviar. The caviar on the body of this six-eyed flying fish is only available in one restaurant in the city. Based on this clue, Casey quickly found someone who was Justin, a top student in the same class as Xiao Shuai. Under Casey's inquiry, Justin said that he and Xiao Shuai were strangers, and he also disliked Xiao Shuai's demeanor very much. After a few words of communication, Casey didn't think so anymore. Studies have shown that if two people have a good relationship and spend a long time together, they will unconsciously influence each other. For example, I know a handsome guy named Guangdong, and unconsciously, I like to say the word loser. And Justin and Xiao Shuai are also the same. They both like to talk about Wang Defa, so after Casey and the two of them talked, they were even more certain that they were not as innocent as they appeared. Through tracking, Casey did indeed take photos of them walking shoulder to shoulder in the middle of the night together. With these clues, Casey immediately found a partner and asked him to go to school to talk to Xiao Shuai again. He also discovered a previously overlooked detail, which was the time of the deceased's death and the broken clock, both of which were very similar in time. This means that the clock played a tool role in the fight, but there were no blood or fur marks on him, so the broken clock must have been intentionally left by the killer. To prove her speculation, Casey rushed to the deceased's house overnight, but unexpectedly discovered something unexpected. Do you remember the mud agreement that shouldn't have appeared at the deceased's house before? Now we have the answer. It turns out that the deceased set an alarm clock for the sprinkler system before his death, which automatically sprays water on the lawn every day at 3:30 p.m. This means that the perpetrator arrived at the deceased's house after 3 p.m., took him away, and deliberately faked the time of the crime to be around 9 p.m. at night. So all the so-called alibis that Xiao Shuai and Justin claimed before were unfounded. Looking at the evidence Casey brought, the director no longer stopped Casey and agreed to summon Xiao Shuai and Justin. In two interrogation rooms, Casey and her partner interrogated them separately. Casey roughly reconstructed the entire crime process to them through her own reasoning. After listening to these, Xiao Shuai and Justin immediately lost their composure, and Xiao Shuai's psychological quality was clearly not as good as Justin's partner's pursuit of victory. He told Xiao Shuai that Justin had confessed, saying that everything was under your command. If you can't say 1, 2, or 3, then you will be sentenced to at least 60 years as the principal offender during the trial. Xiao Shui was indeed hit, but just as he was about to confess and be lenient, Xiao Shui's father found a lawyer for him. Charge them or let them go. In a simple sentence, let this almost successful trial be ruined. After coming out of the police station, Xiao Shui stared at Justin intently. Because the police had told him that Justin had already recruited him, he invited Justin to their secret stronghold when he returned. He gave Justin a gun, and the two sat opposite each other, taking out their pistols and aiming them at their foreheads. Because they had a previous agreement that if such a perfect crime could be solved by the police, they would have to resolve it themselves before being caught. After the gunshot, there were a total of 1,008 new beauties, and neither of them died. Open your team operation. As expected, there were no bullets in Xiao Shui's gun. He just wanted to watch Justin commit suicide and push everything onto him. Just as the two were having a friendly conversation, Casey arrived and Justin seemed to suddenly have an idea. He put down his gun and walked towards Casey. Unexpectedly, Xiao Shui picked up his gun and turned around to shoot. In a critical moment, Justin blocked a shot for Casey. Casey was just chasing after him when he was ambushed by the young coach. He took Casey to the sheep's nest, prepared to strangle him, and then threw him off the cliff. While struggling, Casey realized that the railing was in disrepair for a long time, so she grabbed onto the other side of the railing and became enraged in Dantian. Then, she kicked Xiao Shui down a 10,000-foot cliff. After Xiao Shui fell, the balcony suddenly collapsed, and Casey fell to the side, in imminent danger. At this moment, Justin walked over with a stick in his hand. Casey thought he was going to kill someone and silence him, but he didn't expect Justin to lie down and pass the stick to him. After rescuing Casey, Justin also confessed to the criminal process to him. He admitted that he was only responsible for throwing corpses that night because he vomited on the ground the first time he did this. He wanted to know how many years he would be sentenced in this situation. Casey told him not to panic. If he is an accomplice, combined with the merits just now, he will say a few good words to the judge and strive for a lighter punishment. But just as the main force arrived, Casey found a deep mark on his neck in the mirror, which was left by the ring on the hand of the little handsome who had just pinched his corpse. Casey suddenly thought of something, so she asked her newly arrived partner to casually say something in her ear. Unknown partners can only take photos, what I said. Looking for different partners. Are you serious or was it not? I want to take that back. Did they find the videotape? After Yes finished speaking, Casey separated everyone and told Justin that Xiao Shui had filmed the entire crime process. Upon hearing this, Justin finally didn't calm down. As Casey had guessed, the true mastermind was indeed Justin, and people were also killed by him. The reason why Casey was able to deceive Justin and make him admit it was because before he came here, he found a low-profit box in Xiao Shui's basement that had not been opened for long. In addition, the deceased died from neck pinching, and there were no marks left by the ring on his neck, so he guessed that the real culprit was Justin, who had let his partner in and cooperate with him to bomb him. Unexpectedly, the seemingly isolated and cowardly academic bully was the real cold-blooded killer. He himself never expected that such a perfectly designed crime would be ruined by stepping on a sewing machine for the rest of his life for the sake of a ring. Indeed, details determine success or failure. To avoid missing out on more exciting movies, please click subscribe.